Okay, hey. What's up, Miami? I'm thrown off a little. This resolution got crazy when I plugged it in, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Hey, I'm Ken. Hey, if you want to read a bunch of trash, you know where to do it. So when I first pitched this talk, it was a couple months back, and in that time, the amount of progress that we've seen in GPT and AI and everything. I was going to come here and talk about DevTools, but today I'm going to teach everybody how to become an electrician. I'm just fucking. We're going to do DevTools. Yeah. So why am I giving a talk about DevTools? I can't talk about anything I do at work, and I've done too many music demos. But usually I'm up here making like robot crossbows or crazy beats or whatever. But I wanted to send everybody home with, maybe some new skills. Maybe the thing is that almost everyone here probably uses DevTools, but for different things, some more than others. And I hope that everybody at least learns one thing. So DevTools is, in my opinion, the best dev tooling of any language or platform that I've actually ever seen. When I work with people in other languages and I show them some of the things that I can do in Chrome DevTools, they're like, "What? You have that?" I'm like, "Yeah. You talk shit about JavaScript now." But it's quite good. Extremely powerful insights into what's going on in your app. If you know how to read this stuff and you know how to hop in, you can solve almost anything really quickly. And when you're fixing bugs, if you have a bug that's urgent or pressing or just weird, you don't know what's going on, this is how you get down to brass tacks and fix it. I don't know why that was in there, but this is what most folks are messing with in DevTools there and the console, and that's cool. That's a lot of fun. I spend a lot of time there too. A lot of folks are in the Lighthouse tab. A lot of the dev tooling stuff that I've seen historically has been about load performance, right? How fast we can get the site to load, and that's important. That's important for a lot of things like conversion or user experience. But now you just use Next.js and you're fine. Don't even worry about that shit. So now I want to kind of frame this in the context of runtime performance or remix. Sorry. Kent's back there cracking his knuckles. But yeah, I want to mostly show runtime performance stuff, but also just some fun little stuff that you might not have seen. I'll start with a couple little things. This is one of my newer favorite things. It's not really that new, but it's definitely one of my favorites, and that's flex debugging. Can I see a show of hands who uses this? It is the jam. I'll hop out of cool mode for a second, and then this is my little demo tester thing. If you haven't used it, what it lets you do is I promised in the talk abstract to show you how to center a div, and I'm a man of my word. So you can come right in here, and if your div is not centering for whatever reason, you just click this, and you'll actually see all the little flex boundaries and how they're working. Too much fun. So baby steps, just bear with me here. Another one that's great is console table. Anybody use that? Yeah, this is the jam. So if you have some tabular data, right? You can go ahead and just, yep, you guessed it. Boom, console table. Wow, and look at that thing. Wow. Hey, you know what the crazier thing about this is? The shit that is absolutely wild to me is it's sortable. And you can change the columns. Shit is prod grade. It's unbelievable. It's very, very cool. All right. I keep hopping in and out of slide view. So now there's this There's this library, you guys might have heard of it. It's called PartyKit. Yeah, I don't know, it's pretty new. But I work in that space a lot, real-time data. And if that's something that you're going to use, which you're all going to use, you're all going to go use PartyKit, non-negotiably. But when using it, if you want to see what's going on, the only reason I made this demo is for a start party button. I'll be honest with you. But yeah, what this will do is I have a PartyKit running, or at least I should. If I don't, this is going to be bad. No, I do. Okay, so I have that running. And in your network panel, you'll see this rascal right here. And you can click that. And then here you have access to all these messages. You get length, time, and you'll see them stream in Kenny's room. Look at you folks, you're in Kenny's room. We're having fun. Yeah, and then if you click into it, it's not always like a demo message. Most of the time, what I'm getting over a WebSocket is like binary. But it's really helpful to look in here when you click on an individual one. You'll see what's going on. So that's how you check out your real-time data. All right, the meat and potatoes is the performance panel. In my opinion, the best panel. Can I see a show of hands who's familiar with this and who can read a flame chart? Less hands. Okay, yeah. So that's why I'm here. It's not all center and divs. All right. So performance panel, it's basically the shit. No, it's probably my most used panel. I use this all the time. If you're doing something, I'm sorry, I can't talk with gum in my mouth, and I know that's fucking gross, but yeah, it happens. I'm sorry. If you're doing things that have runtime performance sensitivity, and even if you're not, right, this is a great place to go and see what your code is actually doing, like events over time. One cool thing to know, and I'll expand on this a little bit, is that if you can measure it, you can fix it. It's really, really important to have these measurements. If your boss is like, "Oh, the shit is slow," and then like you come back to him and you're like, "I fixed it," and he's like, "Yeah," and you're like, "It's fast now," right? Like they're like, "Okay," but if you're like, "It's 37% faster," right? Damn, that is fast, right? So like now you have like a sense of proportion for that, right? And you'll understand your budget, so to say, within frames and whatnot. I'm just going to go ahead and show some performance panel stuff real quick, and then we can look at what reading flame charts is all about. So you start here. Is this all visible? Everybody can read that? Should I bump it a little? Are we good? Bump it just to doop. That's good. Okay. Yeah. Right off the bat, you're not like throttling network or CPU or anything like that. I'll turn screenshots on for shits and giggles. But what you can do is you just hit record here, right? And then I'll go down. I have this get busy button. It should drop a disco ball or something, but it doesn't. It just does like a million square roots. Right? Wow, look at that. Oh my God, there's so much crazy stuff going on. So I'm just gonna go top down on this. So what you have up here in this top, right, with the milliseconds, that's your timeline. That's the time span that you just recorded. And if you have the screenshots on, you kind of get a little bit of a visual cue as to what's going on. So if you're trying to figure out like, hey, there's this thing that's a problem, like where did that happen? Or you say, oh, when this thing comes in, it's an issue or whatever. That's helpful. Right now, it's not helpful. It's visually jarring to me, actively bothering me. I might even take a new performance because it's bothering me. I digress. Next down is frames here, and this is super duper important. Idle frames, not a big deal. Green frames, beautiful. Anytime anything is going on, any kind of interaction or animation or anything like that, if you see these green frames and they're 16.7 milliseconds, your shit is money. Here's where you have a problem. If you see these red rascals right here, red is bad. Green is good. But red is real bad. You don't want that in your app. That's indicative of main thread lockup, right? You're going to drop frames, and you're blocking the main thread when you see that red, and that's not good. That's not good at all. Underneath frames, you have animations where it'll actually show these individual animations and the times that it takes. I'm going to get back to the timings in a minute. I'm not going to do that right now. And here you have your interactions, right? Which has the interaction type click. This is a pointer down, pointer up, fires click on the, right? And then here is the main thread. This is really what you want to look at right here. So this kind of works. Like, you can look in here and like, have you ever taught somebody who doesn't know how to use computers before? And like, they're like, oh, fucking thing doesn't work. You're like, whoa, just slow down and read the shit on the screen, right? That's kind of like what's going on in here. Like, you look at that and you're like, what is this supposed to be, right? Like, it's the same thing with like TypeScript error messages. Like, I'm like, what is going on here? And then you like read it and it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I fucked that up. It's that kind of thing, right? So just don't be afraid to like actually zoom in on this and like poke around, and you'll know what's going on, right? And it goes top down here, right? Where you'll have this task, yada, 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 with the click, the function call. It's got my expensive, it's got garbage collections and shit. I think that this actually gets wrapped up into this click, but you can see this. The handler took 83 milliseconds. That's a lot of drop frames. A couple at least. I can't do mental math to tell you how many frames, but it's several frames, and it's unacceptable. You don't want that. Now, what you can do is, if you click up here, if you want to get even more into it, you'll get this right here, which is your summary, and you'll see, and everything underneath this, right, is kind of included in here. So if you do bottom up, it has all this business right here, and then you'll have the call tree, and you'll have your event log of what actually took place. Now, these colors of everything, the colors actually do mean shit. So if you have yellow, that's pretty much JavaScript, right? That's like CPU going on. Now, if you come over here and show you a little bit more, it's got the aggregated time here, right? So that's just a little random thing, but you have rendering and you have painting, along with compositing. These are all things that the browser does. And the purple is like layout, and the painting is green, and your compositing, you'll actually have a whole compositor section here. If you're unfamiliar with those terms, this is actually the funniest shit in the entire world. So in C++, right, there's this library called Skia, right? It's essentially Canvas, right? It's like HTML Canvas, and that's what they draw this with. Like the entire internet. That's what they draw web pages with, right? So what happens is there's like a layout algorithm, like yoga or something like that, but it's not. It's inside the browser, and it'll figure out, because this stuff isn't absolutely positioned, right? It's relatively positioned, which means these positions are relative to other shit on the page. So it has to go do this layout solver algorithm, and what it spits out is, this tree of thing with X and Y, and this is where it's going to go, and then they literally just draw it with Canvas, and that's how that works, right? And painting draws the layers, and the compositor moves the layers where they're supposed to go, but that's how that works under the hood. Now, I have a hilarious story for you. My buddy calls me up, and he's like, dude, can you help me do this performance shit? I'm like, yeah, for sure. He's like, my site's crashing, and I don't know why. And he's a pretty talented dude, so I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, all right, well, let's measure it. So I go and I do, right? And I'm expecting to see some kind of like JavaScript thing going nuts. He's got something going on, something busy. And I saw something that I had never seen before, right? It was perps across the board, just purple. Shit ground to a halt, and it was just purple. I was like, what? So I go and I look. Essentially what had happened was he had this element in his page, right, that was rotating with like a CSS animation or something like that. And somehow in Safari, And it was triggering reflow, right, which is a layout recalculation, and it completely janked his page up. I was like, "You're the first person I've ever seen crash their website like with CSS." Nice job, buddy. But yeah, it was bananas. But I would have, neither of us would have figured it out if it wasn't for that. Now back to that measuring business. If I hop back over here, there's this thing called user timings, right? And if you want to get amazing labeled perf insights, if you want to add your own stuff to DevTools, you use the user timings API, and it's magnificent. Can I see a show of hands who's ever used this? Yeah. So for my expensive compute function here, I'm sure you've seen like performance.now or stuff like that, but there's performance.mark. So you create two marks, right? You're gonna have a mark at the start, right, which is the beginning of your measurement, and you're gonna have a mark at the end, which is the end of your measurement. And then it's very important that you call performance.measure, and what that's gonna do, you give it a name, and then if we hop back, I actually have that on that thing. So we look at this big rowdy boy here, big thick old fucking function. Sorry. Yeah, and you can see this right here, right? You have this expensive compute. And that's really, really helpful. Like if you want to know, like right in here, like this usually just does single functions, but if you want to have like a whole flow, we good? Did I just get cut off? Okay, yeah, no, all right, we're back in the game. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So like if you wanted to have like multiple functions, on a whole bunch of shit or little things, right? This is like the best way to do that, and it's really, really helpful. Like if you're like really thick in it, and that's how you're gonna do it. Did I talk about console trace? I didn't. So that's another one of those ones that's awesome. Can I see a show of hands who's ever used console trace? Okay, so it's good, and I'll tell you why it's good. So you have like the console log camp, and you have the debugger camp, and a lot of folks who do both. I slum at console log all day, right? But when you're doing that, mostly because you don't want to pause, you're sitting there clicking like next, like an idiot. You could just console log things. So when you're console logging, a lot of the time you don't have, especially if it's getting called other places, you don't have like a frame of reference of where that's getting called. If you have a function that's getting called multiple places, console trace kind of fixes that for you. So if I go in here, oh, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, so see this right here? And then here's the second one, probably significantly further down. Yeah, so when you call console trace, what it gives you is the whole trace, right? So I have this call trace function that's getting called. But now I can see the kind of hierarchy of where it got called from. So I have trace button 1, and then down here I have trace button 2. So if you have this function that's getting called by a bunch of different things, but it only screws up in one particular scenario, now you can know this dude did it. Fix it there, and you're good. Okay, hop back here. So memory is the second best panel. Easily. One of the worst things in the entire world to debug is a memory leak. A lot of performance problems, like you don't want to like prematurely optimize things, but like when you have a performance problem, you know that you have a performance problem. It's like a dinosaur on your screen because your shit crashed or whatever. Memory leaks are one of those rough ones where like you're like, yeah, they're like, oh, can you fix this? I'm like, yeah, in like an hour. Like if I just you have to wait for it to happen for an hour for the shit to build up, right? No, I already did the other. Oh no, I didn't get to the other fun stuff. I need to get back here and show you memory, right? So this memory panel is the jam. All right, you do this heap snapshot. So I can record my heap snapshot right here, right? And this kind of gives you the state of the world memory-wise, right? You can come here and sort by shallow size, and you'll see like, oh, what's like the most things here, right? So if I wanted to simulate a memory leak, I could add listeners. You can add a lot of anything. You know, a lot of the time a memory leak is event listeners, but other times, you know, in like let's say you have like a virtualized grid, for example, and you're taking in real time data, right? If you're not discarding that or you know clearing your window when you shift windows or whatever, you're just going to continue to build up data, and then 2 days later the app crashes and somebody's doing something super important, and you get yelled at. You're in a bad mood for the rest of the day. um, so I'm just going to add like a shit ton of listeners here, right? And then we can go and we can come back over here. But there's still like a lot of things here. Like the event listeners, we now have 2,000 of them, right? Now I'm going to add a whole bunch more. I'm going to show you a real cool trick. Real cool trick, right? Now we're going to do that. So again, this comes back to the thing where, you know, you just hop in there and read it and pick around, right? Don't be afraid of it because there's a lot of fun shit hidden in here. And I'll show you one of them. See this summary right here? Right? If you want to find a memory leak, you take a snapshot and then you go play Call of Duty. And then you come back and you hit snapshot again. And then you come here and you go to comparison, right? And you can look from 3 to 2, it shows new, deleted, and delta and allocated size. So now you can say to yourself, why there's 2,300 extra event listeners for no good reason while who's poning noobs. And then you can come in here and you can actually see where it came from. And then here's what you do. You go, right, and you fix that. But it's really important, this whole measuring thing. So once you've fixed it, load it back up, and you have to prove that it's fixed. So you click that button, you go play some more Call of Duty. Then you come back and click it again and say, all right, we're stable. There's nothing's leaking out here. So there was another slide that says other fun stuff. I'm not going to show it because I'm just going to show you the fun stuff. So like those two are powerhouses for your runtime performance. But Chrome has gotten some really cool shit lately, like really cool, unbelievable. And I'm going to show it to you. Before I get into the coolest shit, this is like easily one of my most used panels, and you should use it. This is the real-time performance monitor, and it'll let you monitor things like heap size, CPU, DOM nodes. So you can go and interact with your site and see what's going on here. You're like, oh, damn, that's not good. This is fantastic for measuring things, all kinds of things. But keep in mind, this is averaged, right? So you can actually get incorrect results if you get really rapid things. It'll skew on an average, so it's not like exact numbers, but it's helpful. This rendering panel right here is the jam. So this is paint flashing, right? You turn that on and it'll show when things get repainted. You're getting kind of an idea what's going on underneath the hood. There's a whole lot of you have like where's my FPS meter, right? So you have your core web vitals if you're into that. Yeah, frame rendering stats. Yeah, so this is the important stuff. You can see where you're at render wise, right? Really good time. And so here's some stuff that I didn't know about. You can emulate all different conditions historically, right? That had been things like, oh, let's make it look like it's a phone, or internet's fucked up or whatever. But down here, this is really cool. This is for like accessibility, right? You can emulate vision deficiencies. So I can like do blurred vision, and look at this. That's crazy. That's absolutely bananas. And then you can do reduced contrast. You can do different kinds of stuff that's going on here. Yeah. And wow, that's just phenomenal. This one right here, CSS overview, is absolutely bananas. So you click this, you do capture overview. I didn't even know this existed until recently. And it'll show you the elements, how many rules there are, et cetera, et cetera. It'll pull out all the colors, and it'll show you contrast issues, right? So that's not really like runtime performance-y, but dang, is that helpful? Wow. All right, I have 3 minutes left. So you might want to say, what kind of thing would this fella be working on that would need that level of performance? I'll show you. I'll show you what an incredibly performance-tuned 808 in the browser looks like. So I wrote this. I'm going to be real quick about this. This uses audio worklets, which are incredible. You know, it's off-thread audio processing that I literally just throw arrays of floats at until it makes rap music. And then this right here, these guys, these little rascals, these are canvas, because you need that. If I used React to redraw these things, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll turn this on, and then I'll take this because I have it hooked up with web MIDI, right? So that I can bust that into here, and then I can keyboard type. And you know, got a little volume on that thing, man. I thought I'd do a little. I was gonna say a little pump, but that's like, yeah, you can't say little twice. I'm still recording. Okay, so we'll take a look at what that actually looks like. Boop. So that looks crazy, doesn't it? That looks kind of wild. But when you actually go in there, this is 60 frames per second. I'm within my frame budget. I am sitting here generating music, drawing to canvas, doing all this super fun stuff. And it's really cool if you go down here, it'll actually show your real-time audio worklet thread. So I can hop in here and look at the frame process calls. To generate 808 bass in real time, we're looking at like microseconds here. I think that's a microsecond, not a nanosecond. Browser's worth that shit. Yeah, so yeah, once you tune it up, you can go absolutely bananas like that and have perfect frame budgeted performance. Everybody, thank you so much. Yeah. Oh, fucking God.
Let's give it up for Ken. It's always so interesting seeing the experience behind the stage. Ken, can I tell them? I'm going to tell them. Ken was sweating back there. Like.